Okay, good morning. And everyone's going, where's he? Where has he been? Come on. I am not in Fiji. I have nothing to do with this competition. I am just like you guys at home, a windsurfing fan, scouring the internet, ringing people, texting people to work out what the hell has just happened in Fiji. It's like that. This is like a therapy group for everyone who is just craving information, and I'm going to try and bring it all here. Paul Van Bellen is basically just got off the boat in Fiji. He's messing around. He will be joining us very soon to give us a bit of lowdown from what happened. I had a quick phone call with him. I'm just looking at the results. Literally, it is this like budget. I don't care, but I can't find any other information. So I thought, why not? Let's do it myself. Let's do it together. Let's pull the information because there's been some big upsets. If you're tuning in, you don't know what's happening. The Fiji Pro is going on right now. It's the second full points event of the PWA calendar. PWA has joined with IWT. Now, they've joined, but they're still running separate events. So this event is run by the IWT. Pozo and the normal events are still run by the PWA. So Chile, IWT, Japan, IWT. They're run by those guys. Even though they're together, they're not together. So if you're looking on the PWA website, it's still two different teams, and it will take time to synergize them together. So that's just to give you that explanation. They're in Fiji. Live stream. Where's the live stream? One of the main questions being asked. As far as I can understand, they are only filming finals day, which for them is quarterfinals, semi-finals, and finals. Today was day one of the competition. It has been going off. Let me just put a picture on for people who can't even find a picture. Let me just give you a picture of today. It's probably the best way to do it. Baptiste Clarec. I'll go through some scores in a minute, but check out that thing. Look at that wave. And I heard by all accounts, it has been going off today. We're going to go through the results before Paul comes online and maybe try and have a figure out of where the upsets have been, what's been going on. But like I said, there has been good competition. So first questions first. Philip Costa in the first round got 0 points. I'm waking up out of bed, looking at my phone going, what happened there? That was like my first big question. Okay, to answer that, he went to Fiji with a broken foot. I commented it. I talked about it on Send It Sunday. He was going like in it. It was a tough call. He's been doing the rehab, doing everything. First wave said no, it's not happening. Couldn't bottom turn. Too much pressure in the foot, so had to can it. So that is bad news. You've travelled all that way to Fiji. You've done everything, and you can't even sail. And anyone who's broken their foot, I am one of these guys who's broken their foot. It is horrible. That is one of the worst stresses, that bottom turn where you're pushing your foot, all the pressure from the foot strap. You can't imagine how much pressure you put on that foot strap. Jibing as well. When I did my Liz Frank foot, absolute shocking. So Philip Costa didn't sail. Excuse me. Like I said, I have just got up. I am literally, if you are just tuning in, I am just trying to decipher the information. This is Fiji Pro Therapy. Anyone who wants to come and be with me here and try and work out what's happening. Paul Van Bellen, like I just said, is tuning in, and we're going to get the word from the beach. But first things first, it was going off today. There's been some real standouts. I'm going to say, just going to go through a few messages. Martin says he's still in bed. I was still in bed. I literally was checking my phone in bed thinking, I know there's a lot of people in my situation wondering what the hell's going on. Yeah, well, there's no private channel. There's no feed. There was no live stream today. Another question people been asking, Marcilio Brown, he went out in the first round. I mean, crazy. You're thinking, what happened? Well, I was thinking, what could have happened? I'll tell you what happened. Again, I spoke to Paul this morning. He said he was filming with the drone and he got absolutely poleaxed. Come up too late for the lip. All just crumbled, everything in the air, rolling round, bang, out. So that was his end to the heat by the sounds of it. Again, these are just quick updates I've had just to fill in maybe a few of the gaps that you've got. I can't fill them all in. what we got now. I'm just going through. Yeah, there's no live stream. There wasn't live stream. There will be, as far as I know, some action dripping through at some point. It's going to be more like a highlight type of action, but lives will be from the quarterfinals, semi-finals. Yeah, sorry, I'm just going through these messages. Again, this is live. I am with you here. We're just going to go through. Beer money to wake him up. I'm awake. I'm the only one doing it here. What are you on about? Was Costa even competing? Okay, I think I've answered that one. For anyone who doesn't know, Costa didn't sail. Foot was too painful. Couldn't sail. We got Adrian. Yeah, in the house. Okay, good to see. So a few people. I'm just going to see. Whatever. If you're listening audio only afterwards on this podcast, I apologize. Yes. Okay. So, right, let's go on to results. I think that's the one thing we have got is results. And it's interesting, super interesting. So that picture of Baptiste Clarec might give you a little bit of an idea of if he was sailing good today. He obviously was sailing good today, and we're going to go through some results now. So I don't know if you can see that. Heat number 1, Liam Dunkerbeck, Antoine Albert, and Philip Costa. So in the end, I'm just going to, hang on, how do I do this? There we go. That's a kind of breakdown of the heats there. So, you know, Philip Costa wasn't sailing, so super easy heat for the other boys. Still got 2 5-point waves. Antoine Albert goes through to the next round. Probably a couple of people thinking, Antoine Albert, who's he? If you're not into freestyle, you might not know. He is mainly a freestyler, but comes from New Caledonia, sails the spot, which I can't think of the name, but it's very similar to Cloudbreak. Massive reef on the outer side, like on the other side of New Caledonia. So he is used to sailing away that. So it doesn't surprise me that he went through, but obviously with Costa not sailing, it looks like he just took one wave and then went, well, Costa's not sailing, I'm not going to trash my kit. Again, these are just surmises. I am just surmising at the moment of maybe what happened, because that is all we've got. Paul Van Bellen is joining us at some point. So, like I say, stay with me and I will do my best to call it through. Bernd Rodiger looks like he was going well today, like 12.7 points, one of the highest heat scores of the day. Now, again, until we see the waves, until we see how the scoring is set, it's very difficult to judge it. But you can see there he's got 6.73. I would say that's one of the higher scores of the day, and you've got to be hitting it pretty late to get that. Average score obviously 5, that's above average. So that looks to me, when I've looked down the results, that's good. Ricardo Campello in the next round, and it looks like George, which I'm pretty sure that's Costa's caddy as he's known. He's obviously a really good sailor coach as well, but he doesn't go through. And Ross Foreau, who's, you know, usually one of the guys doing all the IWT events, but doesn't go through to the next round. Then we've got, this is a very interesting heat. Check out this thing. I mean, again, I'm looking forward to speaking to Paul to what happened in this, but this has got some big upsets here. So we got Flo Young going through in first place with 12 points, and then Anthony Runes in second ahead of Victor Fernandez. Johnny Price looks like he hit the deck pretty hard with 1 point. If you wasn't tuning in the other day, Johnny Price, obviously Irish fella, used to do the British tour, was over in Australia, and then on his way back, I think to the UK or Ireland or whatever, got stuck in Fiji, and then the pandemic happened, and now he's living the dream over there. Obviously not living the dream in that heat, but yeah, interesting, very interesting. Victor Fernandez going out in the first round. So, you know, you're seeing some pretty big names going out in the first round. Again, can't wait to speak to people who are actually there, which is hopefully coming up in about 10 minutes. I said to Paul, probably about 1:30. So if you are waiting for him and you don't want to hear me chatting rubbish, well, yeah, tune out, tune back in. What have we got? Yeah, I mean, Baptiste, we'll come on to him in a minute. Is the spot for surfing, not for windsurfing? The spot is amazing. It's one of the best windsurfing waves in the world. Everyone tells me that. Back, I know you've probably heard this story, but I came to Fiji back in the 90s. We were in Melbourne at the time, and a guy organized trips to Fiji all the time. And he's like, it was like normal. They're like, yeah, that's what we do. You know, sailing Plantation Island, sailing Namotu, sailing, I guess, Cloudbreak. I mean, you don't hear of it that much, do you? It's quite interesting. Okay, live heats, more. Let's go through next heat. Heat number 4. This was the big one. This is the biggest score of the day from what I can see. 2 waves in the 7-point range, which we haven't seen that, I don't think, in any of the other heats. 14.8. Bapti's correct. If you were watching some of the preview videos before the competition started, he turned up early with Marlene, who's been taking pictures of him. He's almost like a personal photographer. It's pretty amazing. And they sort of team up a lot in Cape Town as well. And the interesting thing for this, just to go into it, is you're seeing port tack down the line. It's not often we get port tack down the line, but a lot of people are training in port tack down the line. Cape Town, Australia, you know, these sort of places, there's a lot of port tack down the line. But usually when we get down the line, it's Maui or it's Cape Verde, which is starboard tack down the line. So seeing it on port tack down the line, you might see some newer names coming on. Bapti's correct, is definitely one of them, and he is an absolute charger. When we spoke to Anton Martin on the podcast the other day, I said, anyone to look out for? You went, Baptiste, look out for him. He's got a new board, seems to be working good. He looks on it. He's a bit of a hell man. I was a bit worried he might just go too crazy, but looking at the scores, solid. Morgan Nareau, port tack down the line, not his normal one, you wouldn't have thought. Second place ahead of Jules Tunnell. Jules not getting above 5 points in his heat. Again, we're going to try and speak to these guys, hopefully, and get some more information than I've got here. But again, this is just Fiji Pro therapy, just trying to give you some information, which is hard to find. It is difficult to find. I was hoping for a few more updates. I won't lie. Hopefully they're going to come. They're hopefully going to get some feedback. Let's see. Amazing. I wish I was there with my favorite windsurf palm. I love, yes, exactly. I mean, I tell you what, Fiji, if you've been looking at all the Paul Van Bellen behind the scenes stuff, it's just such a good setup because everyone's relaxed. You're either on or you're off. There's not this, oh, we could be, we're not. And it's just, it just looks so good for getting everything. Everyone's in one place. Love it. Absolutely love it. And I think when there's no wind, there's no wind. Could you give an update on the scoring method? Okay, so looking at what we've got here, it's some details. Anton Martin heat, obviously, he's ripping. I would put him definitely up there for one to watch. 13.86, again, one of the second highest score maybe of the day. And Jake Shetaway, over 10 points ahead of Bryce and Alex. Looks like 2 waves to count. And, you know, there's not many people scoring a lot of waves. So selection, they're getting minimum 4 waves. And that means they're not just going out, back, out, back, out, back. I don't think. They may be being a bit selective because you can see Bryce there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 waves. Maybe he was just taking everything and just hoping for the best. Who knows? Who knows? Again, we're going to get more information. Heat number 6, Leon Jammer. I had a sneaky bet on him. I thought he might be one to watch. Port tack down the line. He's really solid. Lights, you know, clean wave riding, big airs. I mean, he does the tricks, but he's definitely a solid sailor. Takuma Sugi going well as well. And Bjorn Dunkerbeck in the competition, but not going through, unfortunately. Just taking 2 waves in his heat. This is got to be the biggest upset of the day, hasn't it? Surely. I'm sure we're going to be hearing or reading about this. I'm pretty positive because Federico, he's usually pretty good on the old tenure. Sorry, that was what we were talking about in New Caledonia. I'm jumping around. I've just seen a comment come in. Tenure in New Caledonia is where Antoine Albert sails. Going back to this heat. I'm jumping around all over the place because I'm kind of getting new information all the time. Federico, 6.43 and a 5.67, taking the heat win in heat number 7, which, you know, he's been in Chile for the last 6 months. Port tack down the line, pretty hollow waves. He's well versed, but would you take him beating Marc Paré with a 10.67, you know, 4.5 and a 6, but beating Marcilio Brown 5.67 and didn't have that backup wave, only a 3.77, and obviously Kai Cacciadori in there as well, not far behind, but Brown out in the first round. Marcilio Brown out in the first round. Are you joking me? Again, port tack down the line. It is a little different, but I heard he had an absolutely hell wipeout. Again, it was being filmed. We will be seeing that at some point. Apparently, drone Paul Van Bellen was filming, so it's going to be low. It's going to be tasty. I'm so looking forward to when this information or these video clips start dropping in. Definitely sure. One Eye, actually, I'm just looking at that comment. One Eye, Mark Paré, Victor Fernandez have been training in Mauritius, which is port tack down the line. So interesting to see Victor Fernandez going out. So some big names missing out. Costa missing out from, you know, breaking his foot. Doesn't even sail. Goes all the way to Fiji. Can't sail. You know, it has been pumping today. I'm just going to just go off these results just for anyone who's just tuned in, just to give you an idea in case you haven't seen what has been going down. I mean, this is just one picture. This is Baptiste Clarec. Gives you an idea of what those points, because you might be looking at 6 point something or a 7 point. You might think, oh yeah, what's he doing? But that's what he's doing. That's what's getting a 7 point wave, or part of that wave. It's a long wave. So interesting. Well, I think, what else have we got? Awesome viewing from Toronto. Well, again, we'd love to see some actual ones. Good point, Windsurfing. Dino says, how's Mark's deli belly? We'll have to ask him when we tune in, because he wasn't well before the competition. Had a bit of the, you know, the Delhi belly. I'm obviously not in Delhi, but you know what I mean. Wasn't great at all. But we're getting some live results. At least we've got results to work with. We have got, like, it's 24 minutes past 10. Paul Van Bellen's meant to be joining me in 5 minutes. Will he be there? Is his phone charged? Like I said, he's been on the boat all day, so fair play. Female results. I don't think they sailed today. As far as I can work out, they got through the first round of the men, and that is it. I'm going to jump back to results just in case I've missed some, because I am literally all over the place. For anyone who's just tuning in, I just rolled out of bed and then just went, what's been going on in Fiji? And then I've come online just to try and make sense of it. So I'm kind of doing this on the fly a little bit. So the last heat of the round, heat number 8, Robbie Swift, good solid scores in the 7s on that second wave from him, and a high 6s on that fourth wave, puts him the heat win, and it very close actually for second place. Takara Ishii, Japanese rider, 11.3, and Julian Salmon unfortunately not making it around, but not a bad score. Probably could have gone through some of the other heats with that. So there you go, upsets of the day, or not upsets, but people going out. Julian Salmon not making it through. Kai Cachadorian, Marcilio Brown out. Bjorn Dunkerbeck out. Alex Granguillot, Bryce out. George Vestra, did he make it on time for his heat? Maybe not, because he hasn't got a result there, which is a shame. The Aussie, I wanted to see what he could do. Jules Denell out. Johnny Price out. Victor Fernandez out. George out. Russ Faro out. Philip Costa out. So matches up for the next round. Antoine Albo, Bernd Rodiger, Liam Dunkerbeck, Ricardo Campello. 2 go through to the next round. Then we've got Baptiste Clarec, Flo Young, oh man, Morgan Nero and Antoine Albert. That's a tasty heat, the way we're looking at the results. This one as well. Antoine Martin, Leon Jammer, Jake Shetaway, and Takuga Sugi. That'll be very interesting. And then we got Robbie Swift, Federico Mauricio, Takara Ishii, and Mark Paré in that last of the quarterfinals. So it won't take long to get through this competition. That is for sure. Right, just going to go through the comments. If you are tuning in, no, I don't have any video. No, I actually probably know a little less than you, but I have spoke to people. It was going off today. They had all-time conditions. They've had some big wipeouts. They've had some kit breakages. They've had some people just going off. It's been going down. So don't worry. There will be action dripping through. Live stream. Everyone keeps asking me, Ben, where's the live stream? I'm not doing it, but I have heard they're only going to do it from the finals. That because of how much it costs to keep someone on hold for the whole time, you just can't do it in Fiji. It's just not financially possible. Maybe if this year goes well, and maybe someone at home a windsurfer goes, oh my God, sugar daddy's it, and goes, right, we want to put some money into this event. Or a sponsor comes in and goes, you know what, that looked epic. We could make that better by a bit more cash. It could happen next year. So this is more, they're just doing everything they can to make it happen. It's not ideal. It's not perfect, but it's happening. And that's the big thing you have to take away from that. These things only happen with people pushing super hard, and circumstances for riders are not great, you know, compared to normal. They're having to put in a lot more money, entry fee, reef thing, you know, everything. The organizer putting his own money. So there's a lot going into this event to make it happen. And I think even though maybe we're not so happy with everything that's coming out, because it is difficult, different time zones on a boat, I think you've got to support it and see where it goes, because I would want this event to happen again. I really would, that's for sure. Right, here we go. What have we got? Good comments. Great. Thanks for the fun therapy session. No problem. I'm trying. Like I said, this is Fiji Pro therapy. If you're just tuning in, this is where we're trying to piece together the information or work out what happened and try and get some more information to the guys who haven't got a clue, because I am one of them at the moment. Yeah, Thomas saying, Tonas saying, whoa, impossible to think Brown is out. I know. Also, Victor Fernandez. I mean, it's crazy. First day, seen upsets like that. Imagine watching it live. Imagine if they had the money to live it. Oh, it would have been good. And we're going to see that in the finals. That's what we're told. And it looks like a big production crew. Like I said, I'm super excited. Do you know if there will be any longer footage released? I hope so, Thomas. I'm pretty sure there will be. In fact, here, hang on. Oi, oi, oi.
Hold on. Hold on.
We're live. There we go.
Hold on. How do I make this go around the other way? Go this way.
Okay, mute him. That's why he sorts himself out.
Can you see what's going on?
I can see what's going on. What's going on, Kai?
Yeah, well, a monumental day one, Ben. What can I tell you? Cloudbreak delivered in a huge way here, probably more than we had anticipated on the forecast. We were even debating this at breakfast, whether or not we were going to go out there. Simeon called it on right around 9 o'clock. We started heading to the boats, and we were at Cloudbreak probably somewhere close to about 1 o'clock, right when the wind started to blow. And Sarah Hauser actually went out when there were still some surfers out, and she snuck a couple under the pack, totally proving that it was saleable. And the next thing we knew, there's like 10 people out. And really kind of that led to this first heat that Coster was in. Now, Coster has shown up here injured, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
And he went out in his warm-up and got on a hooter, like a proper Cloudbreak set. And as he bottom turned, he nearly lost the whole thing. He couldn't put pressure on his foot.
Yeah.
So he sailed back to the boat and looked at Simeon and just shook his head and went, I'm done. It was a low moment for us all, because I personally, have been watching Coster very closely this year. He sailed phenomenally in Chile. And it was really apparent that, this was a big moment for him, and he just couldn't sail. So what happened was, since that was a 3-man heat already, they advanced the other 2 riders in that and skipped the first heat. So that created a little bit of a time vacuum. But after that, promptly went through the entire round, made it through round 1 in its entirety, as you see on the brackets, and with probably about 10 minutes of daylight to spare, I might add. It was almost as if that was the difference of pulling it off. Round 1 was Coster's heat not going. Okay. So those are some of the finer.
Give people an idea of conditions. What was happening today? How long were the rides? Just give us a bit of an overview, because that's what we're lacking.
Absolutely. It was proper Cloudbreak. It was maybe of a bit of a varying wind direction between offshore and side shore. That was happening in different levels. It was oscillating. The wind itself didn't really start blowing until somewhere, between heat 2 and 3. Guys were starting to move. And again, it's an apparent wind thing here. So, I mean, if you can bobble in the lineup and, a cloud break freight train comes to you, all of a sudden you're loaded up with power.
Yeah.
So the
what
apparent
size?
wind
What size
situation,
equipment? What size
I would say
equipment?
anywhere. Every guy's around 4.7s to 5.3s. When you got such a wide variety of rider weight, I mean, you've got someone as big as Bjorn Dunkerbeck, and then right down to Baptiste Clerec. The board size varied, I'd say anywhere between, I mean, in that scale, anywhere between like 75 and 125 for that matter. I mean, like I rode my Flywave 99 in my heat, and I loved it because I had a float and ride. I had a float and ride situation where I could kind of at least manage the lineup. There is a lot of current up top that you're dealing with. You want to stay in position, and of course, there's four people in the heat, so there's a fair element of hustle. But what I saw guys doing was once they had maybe gotten a score out of the way, they was going into quality control. It was really evident that throughout the heats, there was usually about 4 waves per heat that were like difference maker size, a lot bigger than the other ones that were coming in.
What sort of size are we talking?
We're talking, there was over mast high waves. There was a couple that were approaching, a little bit almost, I wouldn't, say full proper mast and a half, but I mean, a mast high wave at Cloud Break is mast high, but it's also mast wide. Square barrels coming in, that needs to be emphasized. I mean, the Cloud Break goes square, and the thing about it, Ben, is that Cloud Break up top, when the wave hits the top of the reef, it's doing one thing. It's got a little bit more side shore texture to it. You can't quite dive into it, but I think the line at Cloud Break, as far as I'm learning it now, having sailed it a few times myself, is that you can kind of dive in from the upper section and backdoor and get an initial check turn that sets you up, and when it starts bending in towards shish kebabs, that's when it cleans up too, and that's when this really wall lip throwing situation occurs. Guys will measure it up a lot of different ways. I mean, for me, I'm trying to stay kind of not quite all the way in front of it, but definitely not behind it. Like some guys are just willing. Camille was a perfect example of toying it from behind the peak. Baptiste Clerec today absolutely stood out in many respects based on his positioning and coming in from behind. Also, I think his ability to ride smaller gear. He's a small guy. He was doing the same thing I saw Traversa doing in Cape Verde earlier this year, was that he was fitting small equipment into these places that weren't normally possible. And so that was advantage to him. And as we're looking through some footage here. I'll give you a little sneak peek here of Paul's drone footage.
Yes, that's what we want to see.
It's just the dream conditions here, and more about the conditions. Basically, like we had it pretty consistent. I don't think there was really any heat in particular that slowed down. Where you look at that was the shittiest heat of the day. Pardon my language. But it gained momentum, and what you did see was some heats would start off with a furious rally of exchanges. Other heats, whoever dared get that little scrappy head-eye wave and take themselves out of position did so at their own peril, because it turned into this wave catching battle that is just based on how patient you could be and keep your positioning. Here's another look.
Oh no, this is surfing.
Surfing in the morning, but I mean, we're at Cloud Break, one of the best waves on the planet here.
And how long are the rides they're getting? What are we talking? Like how many hits, how many airs, or what's kind of this? What's the go-to airs and turns? I'm guessing.
1 sec, Ben. I've just got to get something out of the back of my phone. Can you just hold on 1 second, mate?
Yeah, no probs.
Sorry, I've got my memory card stuck in the back of the phone.
No problem. Okay. So there we go. Getting a bit of an update from Fiji for you boys at home and girls, I'm guessing, who's tuning in. Interested to hear. Like for me, like I said, I woke up this morning, just want information. I'm like craving information. So this is gold. That's what we want to hear.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, back to it, Ben, and basically, there we are. We're back. Cloud Break is as unique as it gets. I was definitely, it really hit home, especially now that we're looking at the footage and looking at it. It's just one of a kind type of sailing.
Compared to Cape Verde?
I mean, it's comparable to Cape Verde in terms of how clean it is and how heavy it is, but there isn't a wave in Cape Verde that bends in on the angle that Cloud Break does. It hits this upper reef and literally just hugs it through. it's bending, I don't know how many degrees, but it's really, really, really significant because you start your ride maybe even with a slightly side to side onshore angle. When you kick out, it's dead offshore.
Okay.
So it's gone through the spectrum of side shore to side during the course of the ride.
Okay.
And the thing is that certain waves in a set bend basically like a set at Cloudbreak might be like 3 waves. The first wave's going to break in that little upper part. The second one's going to drive a little wider, and the third one typically goes even wider. And it does less of this grower thing. It's kind of like you're taking off, head high wave, all of a sudden becomes logo high wave. Next bottom turn, it's hit the reef proper, it's mast high. So, I mean, it's doing these things that, you know, the people who have surfing experience, the people who understand, you know, waves and point breaks and reef breaks, you know, I was mentioning Camille, and here's the thing about Camille, you know, up until this contest, certainly on display last year was that he has Cloudbreak figured out. Like
he was definitely my like top tip for this event, and then he injured his knee. Obviously, he's not there.
Yeah, his foot. I guess he broke his foot, right? Well, today Camille's advantage didn't vanish, but it's less than it was at the beginning of the day. Some significant heavy hitters have started to crack the code. And I mean, more than a couple of people made the comment like, what if Camille was here today? What would we have seen? I'll tell you what we would.
Give me some like highlights of the day or lowlights of the day. Go through just a couple of those.
No, I mean, I'm looking at that, you know, the whole thing started kind of on an ominous note with Coster. You know, Coster can't sail. And that's just like, we've already, you know, taken the blow there, you know, with not having Camille, and now we don't have Coster. And it was just like, anyway, you know, to start things off like that, it was, you know, a bit of a downer. I felt that, you know, this then what it did was it opened the door for other people. And, you know, who was there to take advantage of it? And, you know, Morgan Noirot was somebody who took advantage of it. Morgan sailed very much like somebody who could win the event today. Okay. And he got second last year. And, you know, there is something to be said for Morgan's knowledge of the wave surfing.
I think someone told me that.
Regardless, Morgan was in the heat with Clarek.
Yeah.
And Clarek, you know, had some sort of fire lit under him because the first wave he rode, and we're just like looking at these pictures just a few minutes ago on Fishbowl, and he's like got the mast buried in the barrel in his bottom turn. And it's just like, are you freaking kidding me with this rig positioning and the projection and getting under the lip? But then Clarek unlocked an aerial where he had timed his bottom turn way too deep. And he was just in never land, bottom turning under the hook. And the thing just tossed him so freaking far. That shot is on the PWA Instagram page.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah.
So that's just a big punt right there. That was really memorable. And, you know, that was also in the midst of a really good, you know, performance by Noirot. And you had the whole bag earlier just going, well, what else is going to go down? There it is. You know, like,
yeah,
you know, this is definitely going to be one of those images from the event that sticks with you. And, you know, leading up to the event, we've had these pictures of Antoine, and I will continue with him. He had a monster heat, and he looked every bit as, you know, like he's learned his lesson on risk. Yeah, Antoine Martin. He's learned his lesson on risk management. And the thing that he's doing less now is going for these haymakers. Antoine Martin last year would just like drop a haymaker on his first wave, blow it, go to shish kebabs and make his life miserable for himself for no good reason.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's just the fire in him that he wouldn't quit. Now he's more calculated, and it's really dangerous because he gains these momentum moments where you see him incrementally getting more comfortable. And he's his own worst enemy in these situations. And I can tell that he realizes he's no longer in his own way. He's in tune with his equipment more so than he ever has been. And he's just quite simply looking really hungry, really hungry.
Bands,
good performances. Huh? Go ahead.
Band Rodiger.
Bat Rodinger looking really sharp. You know, he had a few moments in his heat too where you were like, wow, this could. He's bounce riding a little bit on the edge. not of control, but just, keeping it radical. And he had a really good aerial, actually, in his heat. And I don't think that, that's any different with Grant, has shown actually a propensity to adapt immediately. Someone else that had a really good heat was the guy who won the heat I was in, and that was Federico Marcilio, who caught fire right away. Yeah, he had a really good heat. And I mean, obviously Brasilio could have sailed a better heat, but at the same time, he still got a bunch of really good waves.
Well, what happened to Brown then?
Stuck in a pressure
what happened
cooker.
to Marcilio Brown? For anyone who doesn't know,
Well, I think
Brown's out.
I know he's out by the narrowest of margins, and I think you had Mark and myself kind of scrapping through that one for a little while. It was just all Federico and Brasilio, and I think Brasilio unfortunately had a blow up on a wave that would have sent him through.
Okay.
Like it was just like the last part of a second scoring ride that I think undid him, and that's the fine line here. That's those little things that happen to the best of us that boom. And, it was that close where it made that much of a difference that, he got caught by a section just barely. He was at lower shish kebabs. He had 75% of his ride done. Had he completed whatever he was going for at the end of that, he would have advanced. I think he would have advanced ahead of Pare. I don't think he was going to take Marcilio out. Mauricio won the heat.
Yeah.
And,
he's been in Chile for 6 months, I read.
I saw that too. And, I remarked that to him. And I'm afraid I can't compare Chile and Cloudbreak, though. I'm going to have a really hard time doing that. But he was here last year.
Yeah.
And gained invaluable experience. I mean, Port Tack is Port Tack then, but Cloudbreak is one of a kind. It is really, really apparent to me now that, the work that's been done by Simeon and the IWT and with the help of Ian Muller and Fiji Surf Company and opening the door to Cloudbreak is one of the best surfing waves in the world. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's one of the best windsurfing waves in the world too. And this place blows fairly consistently. And, I was worried actually about this time frame that we were having the comp in, a little too early for the wind, I felt.
Yeah.
Well, we were much more in the swell window. And, looking at stuff like this.
Let's have a look at it. That's what we want to see.
We're like, yeah, we'll take waves. Yeah, we want, the misty South Pacific freight train Cloudbreak. And that's what's been produced today. And I mean, if nothing else happens, we've still had a cracker of an event.
A question that I
and
know
the forecast
everyone's
is definitely
asking.
showing
A question that everyone's asking at home: when they're going to see footage? What's the plan?
Well, the plan is that we actually weren't even planning to live stream today. And what we end up having is 3 different camera angles. We've got the drone stuff. We've got Jace Ponabianco, who's perched up on the remnants of what used to be the judging tower on shish kebabs, shooting in, red digital. And we have a fair amount of stuff that's being shot from the boat.
Okay.
And what I did live stream, quote unquote, I recorded commentary while the drone was flying. It wasn't live because we didn't have the bandwidth today. Hey, can you replay that? We want to see that one more time.
Yeah, we definitely want to see that.
Okay, for you guys at home.
No, just can I hold it for a second?
Yeah.
Ben, is that clear? Is that centered on your camera thing?
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out how to put you on the big one, but my brain is...
No, don't worry. No, I'm just filming the screen of the computer.
Okay,
so
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, we're just looking at a clip of Brow just eating crap, basically. Can you see that?
I can see it. I'm just waiting. Oh, Jesus. Let me just see if I can get it on the bigger screen. Oh, my God.
Let's try that one more time, Paul. I mean, yeah, Ben, seriously. How heavy was that? And I mean, we've got more to share than that. But the point is that was a lower shish kebabs bowl. Here we are on the big screen. Paul, make it happen.
Yeah, I know.
He's like, the poor guy. He's had a long day. Now we're somewhere else. Anyway, it's the life of a drone operator turn video editor.
I'm just going to try and remove myself. Hang on, I'm going to
Okay.
Yeah,
Now here we go. One more time.
Hold on, let me
Tell me that you got it.
Okay, hold on. You want to see it in slow mo, Ben,
There
or
we
is
go,
normal
slow-mo.
speed? Hold on, Ben. You want slow mo or do you want it in normal speed? Benny.
No, I think because you're on the full screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna play it.
He had a hero hit there.
Oh, god damn. I don't know. Is it working?
Yeah, that was that one.
Yeah, I don't think it's working.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! Sorry, I had to put it on the full
That
screen.
was
You probably
yeah. No, did you?
Oh, it did work.
That was a proper tossing, and that's what the difference was.
Oh my God!
And like he's okay. He's de-rigging his stuff here. Stuff's getting packed up. He's on a flight tomorrow. That's the reality of this, is that you're
Hang
knocked
on.
out.
So let me just get one thing clear. It's just a single.
Huge debate yesterday, apparently, before I showed up. And there was a lot of back and forth about this, Ben. And clearly there were people who were pushing for the double. Russ Farrow, who's on the IWT side of things in the organization, was pushing for a dingle, which it's like a single, except it's got that little double round in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Well, there was really no traction with it. I think if we were looking at a forecast where we were everything was in the back of our pocket and we were confident that we'd have all this wind and all these conditions, probably think about a double. Right now, the fact that we have the rights to occupy Cloudbreak, one of the best surfing waves in the world, in peak season for 5 days. I mean, that's what's in the contract. We can go there for 5 days. Well, we've gotten one of the days out of the way. As far as the forecast is concerned, it appears as if though we are like probably have 2 more days, not tomorrow. I believe halfway through Saturday and this next Sunday and Monday are our days where we can start making our hay here. Oh, you rewind that real quick. We'll make sure that we have a little something here. This will make Thomas happy. Look at this one.
Hold on. I'll ask Ben. Can you see that, Ben? All right.
Yeah.
So that's the new black tip. Actually, we're not allowed to show that here. Okay, Anyway. You didn't see that at home. But anyway, the single versus the double. I mean,
but they're just going to do a single. That was the decision.
It's going to be a single. It's going to be a single. And I think that it was being debated in a lot of different situations. And I think that just becomes eye of the beholder. Listen, if you're declared the winner of this contest and you won in a single elimination, you're not complaining anything.
No.
If you happen to have gotten knocked out today, that's a different story. And like by design, usually like single eliminations, Ben, used to happen when they didn't have enough wind for the double. We haven't really gotten to that point yet. I just feel that take a look at what we got to do here. We got to leave at 9 a.m. to get on the SS Thundercloud, to take a 2.5-hour trip to Cloudbreak and show up. And then what we see, there's no cam. It's not like we have no idea. We are relying 100% on the forecast and nothing else. There might be a couple eyeball reports from the lineup from someone like Ian Miller. But for the most part, we're picking a day and we're going out there, and then that's what we have to work with.
Yeah.
And usually we're they're sitting at noon with 20 to 30 surfers out from these various surfing camp establishments nearby. And there's an expectation that, hey, if it's, good surf, these guys are, who paid upwards of, I don't even want to tell you how much to go, stay in these places. So all of a sudden that they're being told to get out of the water. Well, we need to make sure we don't just occupy Cloudbreak unnecessarily. There's a lot going on with that too. This event last year was under a lot of scrutiny and a lot of challenging opposition because of a lot of various reasons. And by order of the minister, because it's so unsafe to surf when there's people out windsurfing and punting aerials, as you can imagine, that the minister just addressed the problem. He's like, you say it's unsafe, well, then we need to provide this contest with X many days.
Okay.
And that's how it happened. And so we don't want to overuse that. We're certainly in a position after today to get round one done today is massive.
Yeah.
And that sets the stage as you know, Omizaki.
They need another day, I guess, to complete the men's round. That pretty much looking at what happened today.
Word and spun. One more day. We competed for just over 4 hours today. We have about 5 hours of competition left.
Okay.
And that's the nuts and bolts of it. We didn't get started exactly when we could have and should have. And I'll say the following about that. Coster was in the first heat. When Sarah was out sailing by herself, it was totally contestable. It was just pretty light. And I think Simeon, he exhibited caution in that situation. We've seen Coster stuck in these heats before, where all of a sudden Coster gets in this, heat, Cape Verde, at the beginning of last season. It was just, out for lunch. You got to be able to compete. By the time Baptiste Clarec does this aerial, things were in such a well flow that, you've got everything going for you at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about Clarec,
the interesting thing is it is exciting. It is. Wow. You think I was just looking at a few of the comments, some of the riders who paid $1,000 or whatever, you could have just had that one heat. That's your shot, isn't it? But that's what competition is. That's why it's exciting. There's no second chances. You literally have to deliver in that heat at that time, which makes it really dramatic.
I think it pushes the level. I think you saw everybody pushing the level for exactly those reasons. You know what they say, and sometimes the best riding's done in that double elimination, right? Why? Because it's do or die.
Yeah.
It's win or go home. Well, granted, a place like Cloudbreak's going to throw you a couple curveballs that, have nothing to do with your ability as a sailor. But looking at this picture that you have up of Clarec's aerial, guess what? He landed that thing and the entire wave smoked by him and he ended up on the reef at Shish Kebabs.
Really?
He didn't make the wave. He made the error. But he landed Jace's clip of this air is just next level ridiculous because he's on the old tower pole. There's one pole left remaining from the judges' tower.
I saw that, yeah.
And he's just sitting there alone, cameraman up there, like getting these ridiculous angles. And what it's really showing is the thickness of the lip, and then this sub-sea level landing. And Clarec does this landing on this wave, and he's below sea level. And you see the entire wave as he's recovering from his aerial, just going goo, 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 and the warble of the wave just passes him by. He goes straight on to Shish Kebabs, and that was his first scoring ride, and he went through the entire ordeal. He went through the entire ordeal of getting back out through Shish Kebabs, racing the clock, watching Morgan just go to town in his absence. And, hats off to Baptiste Clarec today. He persevered in a situation where a lot of people might have thrown it in. Yeah. And he then he got this second really super high scoring ride. And, it's a mixture of looking at the video footage and the stills, but I promise you the stills have this alluring thing going to them that the ones I've seen from Sophie and Paul, they're mesmerizing. I'll tell you straight up.
Just to give people an idea of what's happening. So media wise from today, there'll be stuff dripping out. There's going to be a highlight video, or I
think we're going to go the route of a highlight video because the actual live streaming, quote unquote, was inconclusive. It was like incomplete. We didn't cover the whole event. I had a heat in the middle of all this for one thing. For another thing, we weren't actually live in the first place. Yeah. Like we're planning on being for finals day. So what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna mash up a little bit of the commentary with some highlights, and then I'll probably glaze over some sort of overview. I think, like you said, highlight video coming out within 24 hours. We are not going to have wind tomorrow.
Okay, so then you're going to have time to edit this.
Yes. Everybody's just completely. I mean, we got off the boat maybe like 2.5 hours ago, and we're feeling it. And it's the night's only just begun for Sophie and Paul, the editing team here.
Yeah, I know what it's like. Media teams now have the shittest job. Everyone's going, "Where's all the stuff?" And you're like, "I've literally just got off the water."
Hey, it's a good sign that people are frothing, though, huh, Ben? I mean, like the stoke factor on this seems pretty high. Like, I think that this contest has delivered on day one, exceeding expectations. I think that it's met the level of hype that's been placed in front of it. And I can tell you, no problem that some of the stuff that I'm seeing right now is every bit as much worth.
Robbie Swift said he had the best wave of his life today.
Just out of interest, do we have like interviews in terms of words with Brown and people like this? Because that would be the really interesting stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely a little color. Paul Van Bellen, he just mentioned that Swifty commented today that he had the best wave of his life.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there. Swifty, Ben said that. Swifty, of all people, in the best wave of Swifty's life, he's got a lot of best waves of his life to choose from. And I think, any goofy foot surfer like myself or a Swifty aside, has always put Cloudbreak at such a high level. And, for me, I've only recently begun to identify it as a windsurf spot. So, even having a competition here, let alone just seeing what's possible windsurfing, it's really, really eye-opening, and it's a special moment for the sport and for the fans of it, because this is just like, it's blown the door wide open on this. Yeah. And I think that it's got the potential to make an impression outside of the sport. I really do. Once again, it's really just highlighting some of these really amazing facets that windsurfing can do, and all the different angles we have. And I mean,
I will say though, and I've said this before on the live stream, I think there's a lot of people involved with the event which are putting it in as well. Like the sailors, a few people are commenting here that they've paid quite a bit of money, so they are obviously hoping that this carries on. But then there's some more investment because of the images and the stuff that we get this year. That's what it looks like. It's almost like you've got to put the investment in and hopefully it comes back, because I would imagine it's not super sustainable at the level it's at right now because of the money involved, and maybe you get one wave and that's it. Like, how many people can do that? So I would expect, but by looking at the footage you've got, it sounds like maybe the gamble's paid off, because now people can actually see what it could do, and maybe that does put investment in. Maybe, I mean, I guess that's the plan. I
mean, it is a predicament. You remember 2007 in Cabo Verde, the standard that they created, not just for Cabo Verde itself, but for the standard of contests. And, did that immediately translate into a better tour? I mean, it took a while for us to start going to better places on tour. Cabo Verde has always kind of held this aura and mystique about it based on how good it gets. But, let's not forget the fickle nature of it. And I think Cloudbreak's in that similar category.
When the Fiji Pro was last time, they sailed Namotu. Was it Namotu lefts they sailed, or was it somewhere else?
Well, I mean, we did the contest last year at Cloudbreak, but the time before that, you're talking about, you're talking the original 1997, I believe. That was at Namotu lefts. Yeah. Okay, and you remember, Ben, that was like mast and a half high Namotu lefts. Yeah. Do you know how big Cloudbreak would be on a day? No. Listen, Cloudbreak on a day of Namotu lefts is like mast and a half high. Cloudbreak's 30-foot Hawaiian.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Very. I was just thinking, like, because in that Fiji film, Namotu Lefts, when you've got that sort of moment where Josh Stone hits it and you've got all and I just was, fuck it, I'm going to hit it. And then maybe that Baptiste correct moment was today.
It was. Yeah. And you are right about that. And there are a select few others, who put it on the line in a way. And I mean, like, Cloudbreak really has this way of offering up these opportunities and like, hey, I'm well aware of what's possible here, and the price that you can pay to get to that point, and that shouldn't be lost on anybody. And hats off to everybody today, who managed to not only meet the challenge but push the level of the sport, which I think everybody, like, everybody's very keenly aware of the focus. And not just on the competition itself, but just the level of sailing. I think that's almost the most important thing right now, and that has as much to do with
like, sorry to break in. Also, we're seeing port tack down the line. We don't,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
there's a lot of guys training it. I was saying earlier, Cape Town, you know, Mauritius, Australia, you know, is port tack down the line. A lot of the riders, you know, especially European ones, are port tack riders, but we never really sail in port tack down the line. It happened a few years ago in Brazil, I think, but you know,
Yes.
Chile, but it wasn't a full points thing. So it's
No.
interesting to see if new people would step up. And actually, looking at results, there is a few people stepping up. So it's super interesting.
No, you're right, and I mean more to your point is like there is this little misto element of like down the line port tack specialists that are starting to creep out, and believe me, like you know, the person I'll use an example for, he's not here this year, but he was here last year. Is Charlie van den Mullerbroek from Tahiti.
Yeah.
You know, who's a dark horse by every sense of the word. But I mean, he came here with this pedigree of being the guy at Shopu. And, you know, you've seen what he's done there. He's just on this like charging super hard level. But I mean, you know, does that translate into immediately like being the all-time shredder at Cloudbreak? I mean, yes or no? I think what you see a lot at Cloudbreak then is that Cloudbreak's doing a lot of the deciding too. And that this place lends itself to being so challenging and so unique to its own right that it does not really. It's the rider is important.
That's why, Kai. That's why it's exciting. That's why, like, I know since I've been doing the tour, there's been a lot of jumping spots, which when you get a jumping spot, it's very easy to predict the guys who are going to do well because you've got to land your tricks. And if you can land your tricks, you're going to do well. But in wave sailing, pure wave sailing, wave selection, there's a bit of luck. There's a bit of everything. So you've got this. There's no guarantees that the best guy will go through. You know, the best guy in that heat will go through, but there's no guarantees that they get the wave. It opens up right for them. They nail their sections they have to nail. I mean, Flo Young is a good one. He's been doing port tack down the line for years and years and years. And I look today, he wins this heat. You know, it's really good to see.
No, it is good to see. You're right, and to lift the stigma of port tack on tour, you know, for what it was you know, a side onshore jumping tour. It's the perfect response to it. You know, Maui's on the calendar. Starboard tack has been addressed adequately. I mean, Omizaki, had it been the real deal, would have been, you know, a starboard tack short break event. The diversity on the Unified Tour, you know, we were all saying it this morning, like, okay, Omizaki was this warm up, you know, but this is now where someone's going to jump out to a world title lead. And it's going to do so, you know, in commanding fashion without a specific advantage at play too. To your point, is that maybe that is one of the most unique niches there are, is down the line port tack, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's not like it's uncommon just in the competitive sense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we haven't seen much of it. I mean, I'm a port tack down the line person, and we never get to sail it, really. It doesn't happen very often.
No, you would love it here, Ben. I mean, you would get yourself nice and scared a couple times, but boy, you would see exactly what I was seeing, you know, today, and the way this wave bends in, and it's just it's surfing with a sail, epitomized. I mean, we are ultimately, you know, chasing that surfing pedigree, and I think the judges also played into that to a degree of, you know, wanting it to be, you know, as close to, you know, the pocket and wave riding, and, you know, the difference between a jump aerial and the difference between all these other, you know, ways of doing things.
Just to answer a few questions that come through. To sail the reef, the entry fee of the event, I think to sail the reef was 1,200, was it, for each rider or something?
Oh, to get the Bula pass and all that. Yeah, I mean, it's basically like they're allotting for every day you going out there, number one. And it's basically like if you were to take a skiff, it's $100 to go. It's a 40-minute boat ride.
Okay.
And you know, that's not a small
to do the competition. Let's say someone wants to do the competition.
Yes. Okay.
How much do you pay for the reef pass?
Good question. I mean, I think that it's somewhere in that neighborhood. And I think that also that there might be some provisions for people who are ranked higher, who have free accommodations and stuff like that. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I heard it was about 1,200 for people who are watching. But again, this can all change if money comes in after this competition for next year.
But I mean, you know, I just want to throw this out there. Like, do you know how much it costs to stay at Chavarua for a week?
Yeah, it's expensive, isn't it? Was it 10?
I mean, take a guess.
I'll just put something crazy out there but I don't know. 10, 5,
Yes.
10. 10,
Yeah.
yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean,
yeah. So I mean, you know, that put that in perspective for your $1,200 entry fee when mind you, they are clearing the water.
Yeah,
I sailed Cloud Break today with 4 people out. I don't think you could put much of a price tag on that.
No, exactly. I did I'm getting serious FOMO watching, just thinking maybe it would have been worth it just to go sail it, because that might never happen again. You never know. Like, who knows what's going to happen? Like, we don't know. I like to think it's going to happen again, but just to even have experienced it or even seen it firsthand, like I said, I could feel the FOMO when I woke up. I was literally grabbing phone, laptop, trying to find any information to go, what happened? And then I find the live results and I'm like, oh my God, Brown's out, Costa got no points, Victor's out. And I'm like, it's like, so yeah.
That's, I'm feeding off your perspective, Ben, because obviously I was much more, closer to the center of the action, but I'm as commentator, and I'm looking at it from your perspective as much as possible, and I'm really trying to. And it's really good to hear that guys like you, fans of the sport, count us both as fans of the sport, and all the people who follow you and are following this event, have that same feeling. I'm sure part of it's I'd love to sail Cloud Break, but I also feel it's brought wave sailing to this different level as well. And it's hitting home in a lot of different ways. There's good news all around. I mean, surrounding the future of this event. I will say that with confidence. I don't really need to get into details about it, and I'm not at liberty to do so. But I will say this is that tune in when we're getting this broadcasted out, and what you'll see now is basically what the product will be moving forward. And we've got a really good team of media here, unlike I've really seen before, and people who are passionate about what they're doing, but also very professional.
Yeah.
And that's going to come through. I mean, it's not easy to broadcast from a catamaran in the channel at Cloud Break. There are serious challenges associated with that, but that's the new way of doing this.
I'm
it's
just
on your
looking
little
forward
score
to seeing
patrol
the
here. We're getting straight to work on it. Like I said, tomorrow's a no-win day, and that's what we want to see from this first stanza here. And I think that the powers that be organizing this want this to kind of ratchet up the level of interest as we get closer to finals day. We'll start building a story here a little bit more, the personalities of the sailors, both in it and not in it. And then just, let Cloud Break do the talking more than anything. Because, the majesty of this wave speaks for itself. And it's, we're all in this together ultimately. I mean, this is definitely a win for everybody as a windsurfer that we've been able to do this again. And it's not the most consistent place. And I've watched it as I was, honing in on the forecast window, even back when I was with you in Portugal. I was starting to look at these forecasts just to base reality versus fiction, so to speak. And how these forecasting services like to toy with us and provide these incredible 8-day outlooks that make you check back every 10 seconds and stay obsessed with it. Well, Cloud Break and Fiji in general here, you've got to turn that part off because it changes constantly.
I have a question. Let's say you wanted to come and sail it. Is that actually a thing? Like, I know that sounds ridiculous. Of course it is, but how possible is it? Or is it just surfers everywhere? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people looking at this footage going, you know what? On a small day, maybe that looks pretty fun.
Well, you're going to get, depending on the season, I'll just tell the story of last year first with regard to crowds and, how to approach, sailing Cloud Break. Because let's not kid ourselves. There are other spots nearby that you're here to sail Cloud Break. I'm not going to mince words. You're here to sail Cloud Break. And doing so, you're mixing it up with the surfers from these various surfing camp establishments who've paid a lot of money to be there, sitting in the lineup 20 knots or glassy or whatever it is. And many of these people have been returning for decades. A lot of them are from Maui, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
But what I have to say about last year was that it had been flat for 8 weeks, and we showed up right when one of the first swells hit. It wasn't windy, so we were out surfing with the likes of John Florence and a few other pros who were around, and that was really refreshing to see. Obviously, super, impressive to watch that level of surfing, and a great way. The only way you ever want to get acclimated to a break you're sailing is to go out and surf it first. It was the ultimate way to get ready. So when we sailed it, obviously we had the minister's order to clear the lineup. And that's not a small thing.
No.
It's not. And being a part of the contest is my best recommendation to anybody that wants to come and sail cloud break, because when the contest was over last year, and in a few of the free sailing days leading up to it, you're dealing with surfers. I remember very distinctly one last day last year, we were done with the event. We had definitely gotten a lot of good sun, but there was a really good forecast, and most of us were still on the island, and we're like, let's go out one more time. And this was in, without the catamaran and the skiffs, $100 to be in an open skiff boat, 40-minute ride in the middle of the ocean, go rig up and sail. Well, we got there was like 30 surfers out, and it was blowing 20. Yeah. So it was perfectly sailable, and we're up at the upper peak, dropping into the little side shore section and getting our first 2 opening turns, which led us straight to the surfing pack where the wave was really starting. And the surfers were kind of taking opportunity to reestablish their dominance over the break that they felt was theirs, and maybe rightfully felt so, and whatever. But, we were kicking out. Well, those surfers after 2 hours left. And then it was just me, Morgan, Gant, Swifty, and Mauricio. I mean, we had one of the really good, best sessions of the trip after that. And so it's a timing thing. But what Scott Carville used to always tell me, when the first I ever heard about cloud break being windsurfed was from Scott Carville back in the mid-90s. And he was just telling me, nobody surfs when it blows, and it blows all the time. They have the luxury of being, 20 minutes away in the case of Tavarua or Numotu, and they go out there in their boats in the morning and they surf under perfect conditions, just like today. Guys were getting mega shacked earlier today in the surf session. It was glassy until about noon, and there were serious barrels going down out there. Guys were just getting shacked. And that's kind of the stance. I mean, maybe it's loosely comparable to Hukipa, and maybe not, because the thing is, you can still surf cloud break pretty effectively when it's blowing because of the way the wave wraps.
Yeah. No, but that makes sense. It's kind of that setup. Not much wind in the morning, comes in around noon, and usually the afternoon would be, if it's a windy season, there wouldn't be many surfers. You could probably...
it is basically, I would say that for an advanced level wave sailor, it's not only possible, but it's something to tick off your list. Can
you ride it safely? A stupid question, but do you know what I mean? Can you kind of ride it safely, or is it?
Look no further than how I ride it. Then, I'm riding it safely at 52, but also with like a lesser stack of gear than most people, and just kind of more of a self-preservation approach to things.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question is a heartfelt yes, and I say that with experience. But the thing is, is that the potential it offers you to do is to connect haymakers from out of nowhere. And so that exists too. And that's maybe something that you need to be a lot more careful with in terms of, there's a couple surfers in the water and you're out there, hucking carcass over 20-foot section. It's like, no, you don't want to, we don't want to have an incident with the surfers. And they're exhibiting caution and whatnot. It seems like, in a way, like that last bit of anti-windsurf sentimentism, like it existed in Fiji, like the last. I mean, it's kind of like still exists on Maui, depending on the situation. Okay, like let's say the first. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, when is the windy season? Like, when is the
It's
least?
now.
It's now. Okay.
It's now. It's like spring until now, end of June, and then less and less. Excuse me, I got that wrong. It's the wave season is now, and we're entering the windy season. By August, it's windy season, and there's less swell.
Okay.
So last year's contest was held more in the windy window and less in the wavy window. And I can say that I was a little nervous with Simeon calling it for this time of year, and maybe my specific concern had more to do with upsetting the surf population. I might be like a little bit too sympathetic or whatever to it. I mean, but the point is that this is more swell than we were seeing in August, and we're that's what we're here for.
So, but Cloudbreak, is it a place that it has to have a certain size to be sailable, or can you sail it when it's small, or it's just too shallow? Then
you can sail it when it's small, and like anywhere like Diamond Head or something, like it can work on wind swell. That's when you're on the upper part of it. And so what happens under true ground swell, like today we were like 1.5 meters 16 seconds. But there were mast high plus waves coming in.
Yeah.
And that's the shoaling effect of what a longer period ground swell period really matters here. And it really matters because of the contour of the reef and the way these waves hit the reef. If there isn't enough time to create the shoaling that a longer period swell provides, you don't get the same thing here. Okay. So the swell period is really important. And, the swell source being the Hobart Strait, between Tasmania and Australia, we're in the same swell band as New Caledonia, for instance. And, these are long, they're traveling a fair amount of distance, and that's why the periods are longer. And that's also the reality of these pulses, is that these are pulses that, flare up in that fetch, and they reach here when they do. And that's an inexact science too, because it's not always as predicted. Not always, but when it arrives here, it's clean. And that's the main thing, the main distinction. Like you take a wave at Cloudbreak, I'll go through a ride today where I was on, something that was, double overhead on the drop, dropped in, looked at my positioning. I'm like, oh, I better get on my horse. Why? Because midway through my bottom turn, I just forgot about my cutback and just put the rail in the water and gunned it through this other section. And there you're seeing our forecast. And that's,
I left that on. So Thursday was today there, wasn't it?
Yes.
No, that says on Windguru, just for context, 2.3, 14 seconds. And in the afternoon, winds southeast, 16, 18 gusts.
Yes.
Tomorrow, Friday, lighter, raining maybe. So perfect editing day. We should get a clip when we wake up European time tomorrow, I would guess.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Sounds good. And then as we get into Saturday, and then this Sunday, Monday, Tuesday looks windy, doesn't it?
Yes.
And
you always be really careful with Windguru when you see red, because that's a harbinger for rain.
Okay.
But still, I'm just saying that's reared its ugly head many times in my experience. But it's not like it's not going to be windy.
But finals day could be Sunday. Is that what we're looking at?
I'm in agreement with that. I think that Sunday's probably a really good shot. Sunday, Monday, loom large in the completion of this event. And we've also seen something later on in the week that had flashed on as some sort of like northerly anomaly. Wasn't quite sure what to think of it. And it was like 3 days away. In Fiji, forecasting is an eternity.
Okay.
You pay attention to it because it freaking changes a lot, Ben. Like it really does. And I mean, we had a crew of people who showed up early here. Antoine, Morgan, Jace Ponebianco came and shot. And I mean, they got some bombing Cloudbreak. I was like double mast high. You saw Antoine's pictures. Yeah. But I mean, that forecast flipped on those guys like 5 different times before they left Maui. So it's just it's that kind of place where there's nothing in pocket. You still, like I said, we were still questioning this in the morning. I flew in this morning from LA, and like hit the ground running 6 a.m. Okay, here we are, breakfast. Here I am talking to Seth. We're still debating it. And I'm like, really? It looks like, oh, well, yesterday versus today. Da, 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 da. And then, no sooner had he kind of gone on that tangent than it was, oh, we're going.
Okay.
And then, then the forecast might have done a little bit of a trickle flip while we were loading the boats. And it's like, whatever, we made our decision, get out there. We got out there, and then everything happened pretty much to the letter. So,
okay.
Yeah,
well,
it ended up being, exactly what you saw there. It had this late rally of wind, and the swell was to the degree of what they're saying. Yeah, there was some really solid bombs. I don't know, 2.4 meters, maybe. I don't subscribe to Wind Guru Pro or what that is, but anyway.
I don't know what it is. Don't you worry about me. No, but I tell you what, Kai, thanks for that update. I think that's filled in a few blanks. I'm going to kind of wrap it up. So it looks like just to clear it up, people are just tuning in. There's going to be a highlight video. It's going to be a mixture of a bit of commentary and a bit of highlights. That sounds about right. And there's no wind for you guys tomorrow. So that's going to be a lot of media sorting. Then it's going to come out. And then hopefully more action. Finals day will be live streamed Sunday or Monday, maybe.
Yep. Yeah, that's about what we have to work with. And hopefully the editors don't surf because it's going to be good surf tomorrow.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We'll be all right, though. We'll be all right.
Okay.
Great to catch up, Ben. See you everybody back there in Portugal.
Cheers, dude.
Are you back in Portugal?
I'm back in the caravan, mate, in Portugal,
getting
FOMO, watching you boys in Fiji.
Right,
so I'm going to sign out with you. I'm just going to go through, for anyone who didn't see the results and stuff from today, just to give you an idea of what happened. Kai, nice one. Cheers. Sal Paul, thank you very much.
We got you, man. Cheers.
Look forward to the footage.
Oh, yes. Cheers.
Cheers, dude. Okay, so there we go. Kai Cacciadorian. Like I said, that is as good as we can offer. I'm in a caravan in Portugal. We're doing Fiji Pro therapy. This is just for the people who haven't got a clue what's going on. I'm just going to recap exactly what I probably said at the beginning of this video. So sorry if I'm just repeating myself. And I'm probably going to have a look through the results from today, because there has been some upsets. If you just tune in, you might not have seen them. So I'm going to just smack on those guys, I think. Let me just have a look. Is that on there? Yeah, so we're going to go through those results. So quick overview. Day one in Fiji went off. We heard Kai say that. They did all the first round heats of the pro men. Upsets. Costa, broken foot before the competition, went all the way out there, probably 40 hours plus on a flight. First wave, first day, goes out, goes to bottom turn on the biggest, decent nug. Can't do it. Nearly absolutely kills himself because you can't put the pressure. And I've had that, especially with the size of boards and the volume he's got. There's so much pressure on your foot, you can't do it. So Costa, no points, didn't go through. In fact, what am I talking about? Let's just have a look at let's have a look at the results. Why I'm talking about this, because we got first heat. There we go. Liam Dunkerbeck, Antoine Albert go through, Costa out. Second heat, Bernd Rodiger, Ricardo Campello through. It's pretty much a seeded round there. Looks like those boys were on fire. Third heat, Flo Young and Anthony Runes going through. Victor Fernandez and local boy Johnny Price going out. But Victor Fernandez in the first round. Remember, this is a single elimination. That's it. Last. That's it. Well, not last, actually, because he was third in the heat. But still, a terrible result for Victor Fernandez. Going to be absolutely gutted with that. Then we have this heat with this one, heat 4. Baptiste Clarek, Morgan Nero going through. Baptiste Clarek, highest heat score of the day, 14.8. Everyone I spoke to said he looks like he's really on form, has got the place dialed, turned up early, looking good. Morgan Nero also apparently looking really good. Kai saying in competition winning form, looking at what he saw today. Jules Tunell unfortunately going out, and George Vestra looks like he didn't turn up in time because he was coming from Australia, but he's in the Masters heat. Heat number 5, Anton Martin, Jake Chetaway looking really solid, looking at those results. Bryce not making it through. Alex Granguillot not making it through. Heat number 6, Leon Jammer looks in good form there, 12.6, and he is a hell man. I would put good bit of money on maybe him making the final. I believe he's got what it takes. Solid turns, good punts, doesn't back down. Yeah, interesting to see. Takuma Sugi and obviously Bjorn Dunkerbeck back in competition after so long. Heat number 7. This is the big one. This is huge. Federico Mauricio getting through. He's been in Chile for 6 months and he won the heat ahead of Mark Paré. And the big news, Marcilio Brown out in the first round. This is a single elimination. He is gone. And then Kai Cachedorn also in that heat is out. So it sounded like Kai was saying Marcilio Brown was packing up, going home. That's it, done. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? Heat number 8, Robbie Swift and Takara Ishii going through. And unfortunately, Julian Salmon just missing out, going all that way, paying all that money. That's it. One heat, done. That is competition. That is how it works. It is brutal. But at the same time, it's exciting, isn't it? It's hard for them, but the watcher, if we had the live, it would have been obviously better, but we have got highlights videos, so stay tuned. They've literally, just to give you an idea, they've just come back off the boats after being on there all day. Paul Van Bellen's been flying the drone. We saw a clip of Marcilio Brown getting absolutely ragdolled. You'd have to go back through the stream. Maybe someone has got the right timing, but that clip, it's just filmed with the live stream on here, just filming it. But I tell you, it gives you an idea. He did like 4 spins as he got hit. He hit an aerial and his body was just spinning like ragdoll. I mean, if that's like a little glimpse of what we've got to look at from the highlights, it's going to be worth watching. So there you go. Fiji Pro is up and running. Stay tuned for the highlight video. I don't know where they're going to be. They're probably going to be on IWT Instagram. They're going to be on IWT YouTube channel. They will be live streaming the finals maybe Sunday or Monday, but the forecast is changing. That's pretty much all the information I've got for you. Thanks for joining me for Fiji Pro Therapy, just trying to decipher what is happening over there on the reef. I think I'm definitely clearer now. I hope you guys are at home. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you for the next.